Well, as we know all too well, wildfires are spreading across Canada at record levels this year. They have forced tens of thousands of people to leave their homes, and wildfire risks are expected to stay high into September. Greg Jones is a board member with the Canadian Association of Fire Chiefs and the Director of Fire Services for Amherst, Nova Scotia, rather. Well, that's where we've reached him this morning. Good morning to you, Greg.
Good morning.
No relation, I don't think, right?
No, I don't think so. You never know.
You never know, right? To our knowledge, no. There we go. Listen, the federal government has said that fire risks will likely stay high through September. What does this actually mean for Canadians?
And the unfortunate part, what this means for Canadians is what it's meant the last 4 to 5 years. We're going to continue to see an increased wildfire season, unfortunately, and we keep seeing the impacts year after year. What it also means is that we all need to remain very cautious over fire safety all across our country, and we need to be ready to act rapidly and follow the instructions of all of our emergency officials. Wildfires in Canada, unfortunately, does need a new attitude. There's lots of knowledge out there around wildfires and how to deal with them, but we need to have better behaviors and new ways of dealing with it. And one thing that the Canadian Association of Fire Chiefs continues to talk about with the federal government is we need a national fire administration. Not just only for wildfires, but to deal with all fire and life safety issues and to put us in a more of a proactive approach than a reactive approach.
Greg, what are the biggest challenges that firefighters are facing right now?
Unfortunately, right now across our country, in practical terms, firefighters are dealing with a lot of fatigue. They're dealing with equipment issues, exposure to all kinds of different products, and the lack of coordination. Those are all having impacts on our firefighters. And when you look at this year with wildfires across the country, it also has a major impact on the firefighters and their mental health right across the board.
You talked there about being more proactive here. This is the new normal, it seems. It's certainly unlikely that things are going to get cooler and wetter as we move in the years to come. You also talked there about a national fire administration. What can the federal government do beyond those ideas as well to better support firefighters and communities right now?
What they can do is be proactive, not to be reactive. So when I say we need to be more proactive, we need to take a strong look at the big picture. Right now, we're almost into September 2025, and we're still dealing with major events. We need to start planning for 2026 and well into the future. There seems to be a lack of full understanding of urgency to find a way to move forward, and the federal government needs to fully take a look at how the effects of policy decisions they make affect the fire service and the public in general. Canadians are looking for action. They want things to happen, and that's why we continue to ask for coordination through our National Fire Administration so we can start looking at things at the forefront while policies are being made so the fire service and the public can be much better protected.
I know the feds have put about $540,000 into training nearly 100 new community firefighters. Is that enough to handle the wildfire risks that we're seeing now, or is this just maybe a step in the right direction?
What I'll say is that's a step in the right direction. However, it's only a small piece of puzzle. We can train as many firefighters as we want, and we'd like to see as many of them trained as possible. But the unfortunate part is they're getting training, but there's no solid way or coordination to properly deploy them out into the field. We need to optimize on coordinating the local efforts of getting firefighters out onto scenes, but we also want to make sure that blind spot is not missed. And the unfortunate part, that is a bit of a blind spot to make sure that we have funding, but we also need to make sure the funding's in the right spot. And without a National Fire Administration, we're kind of missing the boat on that, as all of our other countries around us do. They have an administration that coordinates all that at the government level, and it's always done as a proactive approach, not reactive. And unfortunately, right now across our country, everything we're doing is reactive.
Has there been any uptake, to your knowledge, from the federal government about at least investigating the idea of a national fire administration?
We've had numerous conversations with the federal government over the last number of years. There is interest at the federal government on it. However, we continue to have conversations with government. We want to ensure that they have the knowledge around the need for National Fire Administration. And at any time, we're more than happy to meet with the government to have those conversations. But we know, as fire chiefs across the country, we need to have a coordinated effort. The National Fire Administration is something that we've asked for quite some time because we know there is a serious issue out there, and we also want to help the federal government get it right and move it on into the right direction.
Until potentially a national fire administration or something like it is established, if it is established, what needs to change as wildfires get more intense right now?
You know what needs to change right across our country? We need to be very vigilant as the Canadian public. We need to be aware of what we need to do to keep our properties in proper order in case of fire. In Fire Smart Canada, for example, they have a great website with checklists on there that property owners can take, review the checklist to what their property looks like, and help them offset the hazards of a wildfire. Because when a wildfire does start, wildfire will not stop at stop on its own. You need to make sure that you have all the proper things in the background to be prepared not to have a wildfire, and it will start to reduce the risk.
It's funny because certainly we are part of that puzzle. We are active players in this, and our behaviors too. It is challenging sometimes, and we've certainly seen it in this province. People really frustrated with restrictions on behaviors. We had an ATV restriction in backcountry and forested areas for a little while too. How do you combat that frustration as the weeks and months of the summertime and forest fire season continue, while still really being proactive, like you say?
Yeah, the very unfortunate part is restrictions are put in place for a reason right across our country. What I will say is that emergency management and also fire chiefs across the country, we don't take the decision lightly to put restrictions in place. But the reason why we continue to put restrictions in place is because we continue to see issues in the wildland interface and the wildland urban interface as well. So for us, it's extremely important that we follow the best principles. We ensure that fire and life safety is a priority right across Canada. And unfortunately, when we see that not happening, we have to stop that.
All right, Greg Jones, listen, great talking to you this morning. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Greg Jones is a board member for the Canadian Association of Fire Chiefs and the Director of Fire Services for Amherst, Nova Scotia. We reached him in Nova Scotia.